Hello, BTS fans. Thousands of people cried silently, but the world heard them. One after another, purple lights lit up the entire stadium, forming scenes that not only thrilled, but also touched the deepest sides of the collective consciousness of millions of fans. Without warning, the atmosphere turned into a quiet and sacred space of reverence, not because of the departure, but because of the return of someone so awaited, BTS's Jin. The question that naturally arises from this event is, why can a simple moment in the form of the appearance of an artist on stage move thousands of people to tears? What is really going on between the light, the sound, and the silence of the crowd that makes the world seem to stop for a moment? The event, which was held in a stadium with a capacity of more than 50,000 seats, was not designed as a grand ceremony. There were no extraordinary announcements on the part of the agency, no vigorous publications in the media before that day. However, when the main lights went out and only one beam of light highlighted the figure walking slowly towards the center of the stage, everything changed. The entire venue was shaken not by the beat of the music, but by an unstoppable collective emotional wave. The audience did not scream. They're not cheering. On the contrary, they stood still, fixated, as if time froze. The purple light from thousands of army bombs, BTS's official light sticks lights up in unison, creating a sea of light that looks like heartbeats moving in unison. At that time, Jin not only performed as a musician, but as a symbol of longing, hope, and consistency of love from his loyal fans awaits. This moment becomes all the more significant given its background. Jin, the oldest member of BTS, has just completed his mandatory military service, a period that has not only been a break from the stage, but also a period of uncertainty for fans who are used to seeing his presence almost every day. For almost 2 years, his voice and smile could only be remembered through old recordings and written messages. When he finally returned, it was not only his physical appearance, but also the emotional presence that had been longed for. There are not enough words to describe the resonance of the moment. A number of reporters on site reported that even the production staff and technical crew could not escape the emotional effects caused. Some called it one of the most quiet yet loud moments in K-pop concert history, the silence of the crowd being the most jarring form of communication. The public reaction spread quickly on social media. Videos and photos of the concert spread in seconds, with many users writing personal narratives about how they connected emotionally to Jin's performance that night. Interestingly, it's not just about the reappearance of an idol. It's about how a single figure can represent a sense of loss, loyalty, and healing. Many fans wrote that they did not expect to cry just because they saw Jin standing still on stage, without saying a word. But it is precisely in that silence that the deepest communication takes place. The moment shows that Jin is not only anticipated as a celebrity, but as someone who has been part of many people's personal lives for many years. The spotlight directed at the genie that night was not only the stage light, but also the spotlight of the world's attention. Various international media outlets began to discuss this phenomenon, not just from a musical point of view, but from the perspective of culture, mass psychology, and the social impact of public figures on the global community. The concert, originally only scheduled as Jin's comeback performance, has turned into a manifestation of the power of emotion that connects artists and their fans in a deeper dimension than mere entertainment. The visual of the concert was the most powerful representation. One of the viral photos shows Jin standing alone, wearing a clean white coat, against the background of a purple ocean that looks like a living night sky. His hands grasped the microphone, his eyes closed, and his face looked calm, as if he was listening to something that could only be felt, not heard. In other images, a number of fans appear crying, with their hands covering their faces or wiping away tears, surrounded by thousands of purple lights that continue to glow. Industry analysts called this moment clear evidence that the emotional connection in the world of modern entertainment has reached a new level. Jin not only performs as an artist, but as a focal point of collective empathy. In an era when relationships between people are increasingly filtered by technology, moments like these serve as a reminder that emotions can still cross the boundaries of screens and physical distance. One of the things that also caught the eye was how the entire stadium seemed to be in rhythm, as if no one wanted to mess with the sacredness of the moment. No chopping cheers, no commotion, not even the ringing of cell phones. All eyes are on one point, and all hearts are on one feeling: the loving welcome of the genie's return. This opens up further questions about how artists like Jin can form such a strong collective emotional identity among their fans. A number of psychologists claim that emotional experiences shared in a crowd like this have a healing effect and strengthen social bonds. It's not just fan service. It's an immersive experience that taps into the deepest roots of the human need to connect and feel each other's presence. Outside the stadium, public reaction continued to reverberate. Trending topic regarding Jin topped on various platforms for several days in a row. Many public figures, both from the music industry and outside, came to comment. Some called the moment the biggest welcome in post-military K-pop history. In fact, some media outlets have likened it to historic moments in global popular culture. However, Jin himself chose to remain humble. In a short session after the concert, he said only a few simple but meaningful phrases. "Thank you for not forgetting me. I went back not to start over, but to continue what was unfinished." Those words, spoken without much ornamentation, actually became the most powerful echo in the hearts of the fans. However, behind the huge spotlight that accompanied the appearance of the genie that night, one fundamental question arises that deserves to be asked openly and seriously. Did everything we witnessed really happen as it was reported? Or are we witnessing a grand narrative systematically shaped to stir up public hysteria and maximize media attention? It is undeniable that today's entertainment world has undergone a major transformation in how emotions are produced, consumed, and transmitted. When a concert picture shows thousands of purple lights, and when the recording shows Jin's face that appears to be holding back tears on stage, it is very easy for the audience to immediately associate it with a deep and emotional meaning. However, do we, as consumers of information, still have the courage to ask, is it all true? Is it true that Jin stands in the middle of the stage in silence that touches thousands of souls simultaneously? Or has the footage been carefully selected, polished, and cut to form a dramatic perception? Did the audience really cry for Jin, or was the reaction just a small part exaggerated by social media to create a certain narrative? In an era where imagery spreads faster than truth itself, it's important to realize that emotional events like these are especially prone to manipulation. Short videos uploaded on TikTok, snippets of images on Twitter, or audio edits from YouTube can form an alternate reality that does not necessarily reflect objective facts on the ground. So, where do we stand as recipients of information? Is it enough to just be a follower of the narrative, or is it time we become truth checkers? It is also important to consider that a concert of this magnitude would not have been possible without massive coordination on the part of agencies, promoters, and the media. So the next question arises, to what extent has Jin's performance been prepared not only as a musical act, but also as a communication strategy to strengthen his position in the post-military industry? Is this concert part of an image campaign that is packaged in such a way as to look emotional and natural, when in fact it has been orchestrated to create a certain psychological effect on fans? A number of viewers who attended Live did report real emotional experiences. However, not a few also questioned the authenticity of some outstanding visuals. Some social media users even suggested that the lighting, shooting, and facial expressions of the genie looked too perfect to be spontaneous. So, is this a genuine reality? Or is it a big stage wrapped in emotional symbolism for a specific purpose?